Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon. Depends on where you are participating or watching from. I'm excited to be your host. Okay. If you can hear me loud and clear, please. If you can hear me loud and clear, please just drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know that you can hear me loud and clear, please. I need to confirm that you can hear me. We're starting in the next 1-2 minutes. Let me see the comments. Okay, I see Olani. It says good evening. Good evening, Olani. Olani, please, can you hear me? If you can hear me, please just type I can hear you, please. I need someone to tell me. I know I see about 5 of us watching right now. Good. Olani says I can hear you clearly. So it's a beautiful evening over here in Asaba, Delta State, Nigeria. And let me know where you're watching from, where you're participating from. Wow. We just had a conversation a few minutes ago. That's Dr. Charis Omoha. Good to see you here. I'm so excited to have you here. Amazing. I see Mr. Patrick is here. Good evening, Mr. Patrick.
Thank you.
All right.
Wow. Thank you, Mr. Sylvester. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so excited. It's a beautiful evening over here. How's Ibadan today, sir? I see our facilitator is backstage right now, and I know I have him. So let me just take it.
Well, it's good. we give thanks to God. You know, it's been a good day, so a very busy one. We thank God. Thank you so much. And now,
Okay. All right. So thank you, sir. So very quickly, I'm going to just give a shout out to the
good music.
participants we have. Okay. This is Karaye. Karaye say we are listening. Abdullahi, please let us know where you're watching from and what your name is, and then I'll give you a special shout out. Also, this is Sunny Bardi. Sunny Bard. And I mentioned Charis already. I also mentioned Olani. I want to say thank you everyone for coming on board. So at this point, I'm going to be having to, we've spent the first 6 minutes to catch up on ourselves, to welcome each other. Good evening, Madam Esther Busayo. It's good to have you all join us this evening. So I'm going to be stopping this music for now, which was intended to get us all in the mood for workshop. Okay. So let's get to serious business. We're here to, yes, Charis is watching from the great city of Owerri, calm and cool. Yes, glad it's not raining over there. Mr. Patrick, is it raining over there? Okay, Mr. Patrick has stepped out. So let's say, Madam says open the chat on YouTube. Yes, the chat is open on YouTube. Yes, I can see Charis is watching from YouTube. As we can see, the logo is there. Thank you, Dr. Ngozi Osuchuku, for that comment. We're glad to have you here. The YouTube is functioning great. We just checked to confirm. Everything looks great right now on YouTube. So, okay, I'm confirming. Yes, everything looks great on YouTube right now. So, pardon me, we're going to start immediately, right now. So, okay. So, please let me share my screen for the overview of today's program. I'm going to be sharing my screen. One moment, please. Let me share the program with us. If you can see the screen now, please let me know that. Just type I see it. If you can see the screen now, please just type I see it. Please. If you can see the screen now, please type I see it. I haven't seen any comment yet. Please just type I see your screen and then we can proceed. Okay. Okay. Yes. Dr. Chari says, I see it. Esther says, I see it. So that means we're good to go. So, all right. So here's a rundown, an overview of what we're going to be doing today. So today we are going to be having Dr. Sunday Tunumibi. Pardon us, we just made another error on that spelling. And then the chairman, Mr. Patrick Agwu, is backstage here with us. And then my name is Sylvester Ebhonu, and I'm the moderator for the second series of the NLAIT session virtual workshop. So first, it's supposed to be a 1-hour program, and all I'm going to do is round up this program overview, having welcome everybody, and then we'll invite the chairman to give his opening remarks. Immediately, the chairman is done with his opening remarks, and then I'll introduce briefly our facilitator for today, who is backstage with us, and we'll go straight into the workshop. And today is a day I would want us to ask a lot of questions because the topic we have for today is a very unique topic. Today's topic is really, really unique. Web development. It's an area that librarians are really not really leveraging so much. So Doc will be treating that for us. So having given us a run through the program of this workshop, I want to just let us know that immediately Mr. Patrick comes aboard, he will tell us a little bit about the NLA IT section and the executive that have put together this particular program. Then, very quickly, I just want to ask a question. What you see right now on the screen is insights from over 300 participants, people who have indicated interest to participate in this workshop. We received 300 and something entries, but about 82 persons, with 70% of those persons are not members of this IT section, as we can see. And you can see it's showing red. That's to tell you that there's danger. So please, what this means is register with this session so that we can sustain programs like this. It costs only little for you to be a bona fide member of the NLA IT section. So please do well to register with the NLA IT session. So, having said this, I want you to know that all participants will be getting a certificate and they will be getting the workshop materials. Only those who fill the attendance form will be getting this information. So, very quickly, permit me to make welcome our chairman, the NLA IT section chairman, Mr. Patrick Agwu, who is a librarian at Kennedy Library, and he's a very dynamic personality who was trained also in UI. He has facilitated hundreds of trainings locally and internationally. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Patrick Uzodima Agwu. Mr. Patrick, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Sylvester.
Yep.
Thank you for the good
Welcome.
job you are doing.
You're welcome, sir. Over to you for the chairman's
Thank you very
remarks.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can you still hear me?
We can hear you
I
now,
want to
but
believe
it went out for a while.
you
But
can
we
hear
can hear you.
me. Mr. Sylvester.
We can hear you, sir. We can hear you.
All right. I'm not sure Mr. Sylvester can hear me. But let me say welcome to everyone to this edition of the NLA IT section webinar series.
Hello, everyone. We're sorry about that. The chairman just stepped out. So sorry about that. Hopefully, the chairman will be joining us shortly. At this moment, I would like to quickly bring up Dr. Sunday. Dr. Sunday, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for having me.
How are you, sir?
Fine, thank God.
Oh,
It's good to be
we're
here.
excited. Yes, it's very good. I'm really particularly excited because web development is an area that I really it's an area you never get tired of learning. There's always something you can learn from any engagement or learning opportunity in web development. So today is a very special day for librarians in Nigeria, and I want to thank you for being here, sir. Thank you so much. Hello. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Okay. So, pardon me. I'm going to be sharing my screen again um, to take the profile of Dr. Sunday Tunumibi. So, everyone, please pardon us for the error in the spelling. Dr. Sunday or Lapade Tunumibi is an information scientist with a PhD from the University of Ibadan. Excuse me. Um, Also, Dr. Sunday is a multidisciplinary scholar with over 12 years of lecturing experience. He is an information scientist and he presently lectures at the Department of Information Management at Leeds City University, Ibadan. Dr. Tunumibi is a sought after intellectual who has taught more than 25 courses at both undergraduate and postgraduate levels. He has supervised more than 90 undergraduate projects and more than 20 postgraduate theses. He has authored more than 30 different articles in reputable journals, books, and conference proceedings. He also has attended and presented in various workshops and conferences in Nigeria and abroad. The person of Dr. Tunumibi has over 270 citations. He's a very visible scholar, and he's presently the managing editor of Leeds City International Journal of Library Information and Communication Sciences. Dr. Tunumibi is a Microsoft certified technology specialist. And this kind of people are actually rare in the field of librarianship and information management. So it's a great honor to have someone like Dr. Tunumibi because he's someone who he's also a member of the Nigerian Institute of Management, Nigerian Library Association, International Association of Social Science, Information Services and Technology. He has served as secretary of the research committee and also the postgraduate coordinator at the Department of Information Management at Leeds City University. Ladies and gentlemen, may I also inform us that Dr. Sunday Olapade Tunumibi is happily married with children. Today, I'm excited to welcome Dr. Sunday, always smiling, Olapade Tunumibi. Doc, you're welcome, and we are glad
Thank you
to
so
have
much.
you here today for to give us great insights into the world of web development and publishing. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sylvester. I really appreciate NLA IT section for this opportunity. I also want to appreciate the NLA IT section chairman, Mr. Patrick Agwu. Thank you so much for inviting me. Of course, I appreciate my NLA chapter chairman, Dr. Sophia Adeyeye. She has been a wonderful chairman for us here in Oyo State. So I also appreciate her for always being there. So today we're looking at web development and publishing for our virtual workshop today. I want to also appreciate everyone for attending, all the participants, anywhere you are in Nigeria or outside Nigeria, you're welcome. I really appreciate you. So I hope
Yeah,
we'll all be able to learn some things from this presentation today.
exactly.
So slide 2, sir. So when we talk about web development, I'll prefer we start with understanding what web design is all about. So when we say a website, we're referring to collection of web pages. As we all know, you cannot have a website without web pages. So, and that's why if you click on any website, you realize that most likely you'll find yourself on the home page. From that home page, you can click on the service page, contact us page, and every other web page that you have there. So, website, as I said, is collection of web pages. And when we talk about a web page is a document that is written in HTML or any other language. It can be HTML plus CSS plus maybe JavaScript plus any other language. But basically, it's a document written in HTML. And for every web page that you have, you can view that web page on the World Wide Web, www, as we all know, through the browser. So there is a link between the website, the web page, the World Wide Web, and the web browser. Without the web browser, as we all know, we cannot access any website. So slide 3. So if we're talking about websites, let's quickly look at elements of good web design. So I'm going to focus a little bit on this. We have 4 major elements that I want to discuss. The layout of your web pages, the colors, the typography, and the navigation. So let me start with the layout. Now, for every website, there is a way you arrange the visual elements. When I mean visual elements, I'm talking about the text, the images, the pictures, the navigation tools, and all of that. So the way you arrange these visual elements on your web page is what layout is all about. I'll still be talking so much about this when we address the issue of wireframing and prototyping. But for now, I will just summarize. So with layouts, you have the overall representation of these visual elements. And when you're doing the layout, there are times you put into consideration the requirements of your clients, that is whoever you're designing the website for. There are times they will ask you that, so they want you to use a particular color, or maybe they want you to use a particular font, or they want you to use, maybe had copyright somewhere, or maybe have your navigation tools in a particular order. So you put all of this into consideration, apart from what you know as a web designer that you're going to do in designing the web. So that's for the layouts. Then the next one is color, which is very, very, very important. Now, when you're designing a website, you need to be careful how you use the color. As a matter of fact, you must keep the colors simple. I normally tell people avoid too much colors. As much as possible, you can also avoid using too many primary colors. I believe we all know what primary colors are, the red, yellow, and blue. So as much as possible, if you're using these primary colors, be careful the way you mix them. So it's better if you mix your primary color with secondary colors, with tertiary colors, and stuff like that, but not too much of primary colors, because it can cause unnecessary distraction. So you keep the color simple, as I said, very, very, very important. Now, another important thing, when we look at what we have on the slide, that iPhone website, we notice that there is what we call white space. We normally refer to it as white space in web design. Of course, we use the word white, but it can be any other solid color. In this case, now what we have is black. Now, you notice that we have a lot of space around that phone. So that space allows for visibility. When you're doing a website design, apart from the fact that you're taking care of the colors, you also need to handle this issue around the white space, because if you don't leave enough white spaces, people will not really be able to see what you're doing. It will look clumsy somehow. The content will look clumsy. Even if you look at the presentation too, the PowerPoint slide, you notice that I've used a lot of white spaces around my text. So that allows you to concentrate on it without getting carried away with unnecessary distractions. So another important thing is the typography. Very, very important too. So you take care of the way you handle your tests. For example, you want to be consistent maybe with your fonts. If you're using a font type, you want to be consistent with maybe your font size as well. And you also don't want to have too much content on your website. Trust me, so many of us don't really read the content on the website. I believe you agree with me on that. When we visit a website, in most cases, we just scan through the contents. In most cases, we're not really interested in what you put together as contents. So it's better if the content is straight to the point. So that way, we can be tempted to at least read what is there. But if you have too much content on a web page, then the temptation will be to just scan through and leave the website. So as much as possible, you also want to keep your content simple. And the last one there is the navigation. Navigation is also very, very important. For your website, you notice that somewhere, maybe on top or vertically on either of the side, you see some tools, some buttons that you can click on to get to another part of the website or to other web pages. For example, you can see something like contact button. When you click on that, it's a navigation tool. It will take you to the contact us page. Maybe you see something like the service button. When you click on it, it will take you to the service page, and so on and so forth. But for these navigation buttons too, or navigation tools, you also need to be careful not to have too many of them. Too many of them can be a serious distraction. So as much as possible, you want to have only the navigation tools that are necessary for your web pages, not too many. And it's also good if you can have your navigation tools somewhere on top of your website. As a matter of fact, most developers will tell you that it's better to have them on the top right corner. But if you have maybe quite a number of them, then you can spread them on top. And if you don't want to have the navigation buttons on top, if you prefer to have them vertically on the side, preferably you can also have them on the left-hand side. So that is how you handle navigation tools for a web site design. So next slide, please. All right, so for the next slide, we'll be talking about planning your website. The first thing you need to do before you start designing a website is to set goals and objectives for your website. Very, very important. So you must be able to address what the goal of that website is. As much as possible, you also want to keep this goal simple. You don't want to have your website trying to do too many things. So you keep your objectives for designing the website very simple. You keep your goals very simple. But you cannot design a website if there is no reason for it. It's not compulsory to have a website, especially in this modern era where there are so many ways you can pass your message across to people. The social media is there and so many platforms. So if you don't need a website, don't build one. But of course, if you have an organization, you run a small business and all of that, and you can decide that, okay, maybe for visibility and all of that, you want to have a website, perfect. But you must keep the objectives of that site simple. Because whoever is designing your website will design the website based on the objectives, the goals that you intend to achieve with that website. Another important thing is your audience. You must be able to identify your target audience. For example, if I'm designing a website for a school, for example, now, I will know that my audience definitely will be students. And because they are students, I can decide to use a lot of colors. Students will like that. Youth will like that, But if I'm designing a website for an organization and I decide to use too many colors, the CEO can tell me that, no, that's not good enough. We have a brand color, so just stick to our brand colors. So, for example, now we all know that if you're dealing with a certain telecommunication company in Nigeria, I don't want to mention name, the color is yellow. So if you're designing a website for them, you have to focus on that yellow color. If you use any other color for them, they will tell you that's not their brand color. And you keep it simple around their brand colors. So it's very, very important to take care of who your target audience is and use that as a guide in designing your site. Next slide, please. So the next thing we'll be looking at will be the tools and technologies. So what are the tools and technologies that we need in order to design a website? There are 3 popular tools, and the fourth one is more about content management. So I will focus on these first 3. HTML, very, very important. If you're designing a website from the scratch, you must understand HTML. HTML is hypertext markup language. Now, I normally tell people that HTML is different from the regular conventional programming languages because it is a markup language. When you're talking about a markup language, you're talking about a language that makes use of markup tags. These markup tags are used to describe your web pages. They are used to address the way you want to present your text, the way you want to format or display your text on your web pages. For example, if I want to draw a table or present a table on a web page, I'm going to use HTML to achieve that. I'm not just going to draw. There is a way I will write the code in order to present a table. If I want to present a paragraph, there is a way I will write the code in order to present a paragraph. So almost every content you have on your web pages will be designed using these markup tags. So don't forget, HTML is hypertext markup language, and because it's a markup language, it makes use of markup tags. Now, another one that is very, very important is CSS, cascading style sheets. CSS is what we use to define or to present content on our web pages in a way that it will appear beautiful, that will appear maybe presentable. For example, now, if I'm designing a website and I want to have a specific background color, I will use cascading style sheets to achieve that. I won't do that with HTML. But interestingly, before the introduction of CSS, website developers used HTML to do almost everything. Either you're formatting, you're presenting, or whatever it is, they use HTML for that. But with the introduction of CSS, we realize that there's a better way to handle all of that. So now if I'm designing a website and I want to talk about maybe the font size or the font type, I won't use HTML to address the issue of font type. I will use CSS. If I want to address the issue of maybe the margin for my paragraphs, I won't use HTML to do that. I'll use CSS. If I want to address the issue of background color, as I mentioned earlier, I'll use CSS. Anything that has to do with the way I want the content to be presented, I will use CSS, especially when you're talking about beautifying the content. So I'll use CSS to achieve that. So next slide, please. So the next element to be looking at is JavaScript on the next slide. So for JavaScript, we're talking about a scripting language. Next slide, please. So we're talking about a scripting language for JavaScript. JavaScript is different from Java programming language. It's very, very important to clarify that. So if you're designing a website and you want your website to be interactive, you want some interactivity on your website, then JavaScript is perfect for that. Or maybe you want to automatically update content, you want to have some animations and stuff like that, then JavaScript is perfect for that. So JavaScript normally relates with your front-end design. So for a website, there's front-end and back-end. I'll still talk about that. So you use JavaScript to bring interactivity to that front-end design. For example, if you are on a web page and you want to fill in dates, now immediately you click on that date text box, you realize that for some websites, not all websites anyway, the calendar will pop up. Now, that is the function of a JavaScript. So you want to type date, instead of you typing maybe 06 02 2024, calendar will just pop up and you select the date and it will just stay there. Or another example, maybe you click on a particular, maybe use your mouse to move over a particular button, and that button changes color. The reason for that is still JavaScript. So anything you do that is engaging, that is kind of interactive on your site, that brings some kind of interactivity, including animation, as I mentioned earlier, they are set, or they are there because the developer has used JavaScript for that design, for that front-end design. So JavaScript is a very, very important tool, because if HTML is helping you to have the tags and you can put content together, CSS is helping you to beautify the web page. Without some level of interactivity and maybe animation and some movements, let me just use the word movements on your web pages, the whole thing might not look so beautiful. So JavaScript is very, very, very key for that. And don't forget, as I said earlier, it is a scripting language. All right, next slide, please. Okay, sorry, before we go to the next slide, let me quickly address content management system. Content management system. Now, for most people, they prefer to design a website without bothering about how to write codes. HTML is a language. You know, the way we speak English, the way we learn French, the way we learn German, that's the same way we learn any language for the system, for the computer. So if you're writing HTML, you have to learn how to use markup tags. If you're writing CSS, you also need to learn how to use this style, how to write this style, how to present them. The same thing with JavaScript. It's a language. And of course, you will agree with me that most librarians are not so comfortable learning anything programming language. Either a scripting language, call it whatever name, as long as it's a computer language or language for computers, they are not interested. So for people like that, CMS is a perfect option. So CMS is content management system. So with CMS, you can handle the creation and management of your contents. And all you just need to do, for example, if you're using WordPress, there are so many of them. There's Joomla, there's Drupal, WordPress, so many of them. If you're using WordPress, for example, all you need to do is to go to the page, the WordPress, download and install it. And once you've installed WordPress, you will notice that there are so many themes. We call it templates. Formerly, we call them themes. You can also see them as templates. So there are so many themes that will come with your installation. So these themes, you can pick them. They are like website design templates that you can modify to come up with your own design. So all you just need to do is to be dragging and dropping some icon, do some editing, and before you know it, you have a brand new website without writing any HTML code or without writing any CSS code. All you just need is just those templates. So once you have those templates, the themes from that CMS, like WordPress as an example, then you go on and have your design. Now, it will be interesting to know, at least for so many of us, that most of the websites we have online today, about 40% of those websites are actually designed using WordPress. So WordPress is one of the most common tools for designing web pages. So you can see that so many people are avoiding HTML. You know, nobody wants to learn code except you are into computer field, or maybe you are just interested in computer languages generally. So people are much more comfortable with just content management system for designing websites. But at times, a little knowledge of HTML and CSS can still help you if you want to go deep into some of these content management systems. All right, so for the next slide, we'll be talking about some of the basic principles of user interface design. Very, very important. You know that no matter how good you are as a developer, if your user interface is not attractive, nobody will want to use your website. As a matter of fact, even your client will tell you that you don't know how to design a website. Irrespective of how good you are, the user interface is what will determine if you're good or not. So it's one part of your website that you don't want to mess up. For the user interface, there are some basic principles that you need to follow when you're designing your website. I have like 4 of them. I'll just pick them one after the other. So I will start with consistency. Now, when you're designing your website, it's important that you're consistent with the way you use your elements on the website. The elements can be the text, can be the navigation, can be the colors, can be pictures, images, whatever elements you have on your web pages. It's important you're consistent with them. For example, if on your first web page, if you have your navigation tools on the top right corner, it will be important for you to maintain that all through the web pages. So as the user or the visitors are moving from one web page to the other, there shouldn't be any surprise. You know, not that on the first page the navigation tools are vertically arranged on the left. Then you go to the next page, you see them on the right. You go to the next page, you see them on the top. No, there must be consistency. So if you want to use a particular position for your navigation tools, you must maintain that position all through for all the web pages. Another example, the font type and font size. Except if you're trying to lay emphasis on some certain parts, I'll discuss that later on. Ideally, you should maintain the same font size and font type for your content. I repeat, except if you're trying to lay emphasis on some certain parts. So you can be consistent with your font type, you can be consistent with your colors, you can be consistent with your navigation, you can be consistent with elements on your web pages. So that is the first principle. So the second principle, next slide, please. So the second principle is visual hierarchy. Also very, very, very important. So this refers to the way you arrange elements on your website. You know, and anybody looking at your website, it will give them the impression that you want them to focus on some certain elements more than some other elements. As a matter of fact, that's what visual hierarchy is all about. For example, now, if I design a web page and some certain pictures or images appear to be bigger than the others, then indirectly or directly, anyhow we look at it, the message I'm passing across is that those images that are large in size are the ones that I want my users to focus on or to give more priority to than those that are smaller in size. The same thing with text. If I make the font size of a particular text to be bigger than the rest, what I'm saying is I want that to be more visible, to be more attractive to the user. So the principle of visual hierarchy is actually a principle of emphasis on what you want the users to give more attention to, or what you want the users to focus on more than maybe other parts of your content. So we can use that principle to address that. I can also do that with white space. Don't forget, I mentioned earlier that it's always good to have white space or white spaces around your content. Now, if I have a particular text that is having more white space than the other, or white spaces than the other, then of course, indirectly, I'm saying I want more attention on that area, on that particular text than the other text on that web page. The same thing with alignment. I can also do visual hierarchy with alignment. If consistently have maintained a left side alignment, and you notice that a particular text is aligned to the center, not to the left, then it's likely going to attract the attention of the user, because that's not what you've been used to seeing. So something is odd here and you want to focus on it. So those are the ways we achieve visual hierarchy in web design. Next slide, please. So the next one is not for anybody to use. You don't need special training to use a navigation tool on a website. So if you have a website that is too complicated, that users are finding it difficult, maybe they want to fill a form, for example, and they are finding it difficult to fill the form or to submit the form, then something is wrong with the presentation on that user interface. Or maybe you want to purchase an item and you're finding it difficult to maybe to pay or to do anything with respect to what you have on that web page, then there is an issue with the usability of that interface. So usability addresses the issue of making your website so simple and easy to use to an average person, to anybody without any special kind of education. Next slide, please. So the next slide, we'll be talking about accessibility. Accessibility is also very, very, very important. You know, in this modern era, when you're designing a website, the user interface should not just be good for average people. It should also be good for those that are having one kind of disability or the other. We all know that in our society, we have people with reading disability, we have people with visual disability, we have people with cognitive disability. And it's important that we take care of all these set of people with our user interface design. For example, somebody with visual disability can find it difficult to identify color red. Some of them find it very difficult to identify color blue. Some of them can't even separate between color red and color green. So if you use too much of these colors that are difficult for the visually disabled people, then they won't really be able to read the content of your website. They won't really flow, so to say, with your website or your web pages. So it's important to put this into consideration. Even those with cognitive disability, you know, when we say somebody's having cognitive disability, the person looks fine, the eyes, the leg can walk, can do all of that. But these are some of people that find it difficult to understand mental tasks. So for such people, if you're designing your website, you also put them into consideration. For example, some of us would have noticed that on some websites, when you're filling a form and you have maybe email, for example, some of them will write EG inside the box where you're going to fill your email address. You can write EG ad@gmail.com. What they are saying is that if you want to fill your email, follow these formats. Write your name, put that symbol at, then put the domain name, gmail.com, yahoo.com, whatever it is. So that way, those that are slow in interpreting message, those that have cognitive disability, will be able to understand what you're saying without complicating issues for them. So these are issues with accessibility, and it's important we take care of that. Next slide, please. So the next thing we'll be looking at will be the website development process itself. Now, when you're developing a website, before you start designing at all, after addressing all of these issues we raise, it's important to come up with a blueprint of your design. You will hardly see any good website developer that will go straight to designing a website without a blueprint. So we'll be looking at some of these blueprints for your website design. The first one and the most important one is wireframe. So when you're talking about wireframe, you're giving an outline of your web pages. You're trying to give present to maybe whoever your client is the skeleton, if you like to use that word, of your web pages, the way the structure will look like. So when you're addressing that, the position for all the intended elements on your web page will be addressed, because you position your icons, in the design with respect to the way you want it on the actual design. But the good thing about wireframing is that it is so easy to design. In fact, it's the simplest you can do when you're coming up with a blueprint. All you need is a pen and a paper. The symbol in most cases are rectangular shapes. So when you're designing a wireframe, you make use of rectangular shapes a lot. So you represent almost all the icons with a rectangular shape, and the content, maybe you can use a dash, 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 or maybe some lines to represent that. But when you're presenting a wireframe, you don't focus on any detail, no visual detail. You don't address the issue of colors. You don't address the issue of contents. So you're not going to write out what will be the content or what will be the text. So all you just need to do is the skeleton, as I said earlier, the outline, the overall structure of how your web pages will look like. So after that is what we call prototyping. So prototyping is like the next stage after wireframing. Even though some developers will also argue that there's another one in between called mock-ups. I'll still talk about that later. So for prototyping, you're presenting your blueprint in a way that is similar to the actual design. So this is like a replica of the actual design. So it's going to have the colors, it's going to have everything that the actual design is having. Now, the reason why some developers find it difficult to separate between prototype and mock-ups, which is the third one, intentionally I've not added that one here, because many developers will tell you that all you have is wireframe and prototype. Now, mock-ups and prototype, they are kind of similar. The difference between the two is that for mock-ups, what you have is static. So if your website is having some form of animation or some form of movement, if you've used JavaScript in your website design, now a mock-ups will not show that. So the mock-ups will just show that, okay, these are the colors, this is the way your web pages will look like, but you're not going to see all those animation, you're not going to see all those interactivity. But if it's a prototype that you've designed, you can do a simulation, for example, that will serve as a prototype of the actual design, so that the users can at least test your design and make comments, give you feedback before you do the actual web design. So these are the two major blueprints that you can have if you're designing the website. Next slide, please. So the other one, another important process or stage in website development is the front end and back end development. Now, once you're done with your prototype, or if you're the type that you don't really want a prototype, you just want to do something simple, what you have is just wireframe. Fine. Either you have a wireframe, a prototype, or only wireframe, it doesn't matter. Once you're done with these blueprints, the next thing is to do the actual design. Now, in the actual design of a website, we have two sets of developers. There are some people called front-end developers, and there are some people called the back-end developers. And at times, you can have somebody designing both the front end and the back end. So in simple language, front end are what you can see or interact with as a user on a website. So anytime you log on to any website, what you're looking at is the front end. So the elements there, the images, the pictures, that's the front end. But beyond what you're looking at, there's also a back end where you address the issue of database, the issue of storage, the issue of security, and so on. So you have the back-end developers taking care of that. The easiest way to illustrate back-end is to use a form on a website. Most of us will notice that when we fill a form on the website, after filling the form and you click on submit, everything will just go. You won't see anything again. And the whole form will be blank again. It will be as if it's asking you to start filling all over again. And you'll be wondering, what happened to the information you filled? How come they disappeared? The point is, immediately you click or you press that submit button, the form, every message or every information that you filled on that form will be dropped at the back end where you have the database. So the database will accommodate the information, and the page will be refreshed so that any other person can fill the form again. Once the next person fill and click on the submit button, the same thing will happen. The information will go to the back end. And before you know it, the information will keep accumulating at that back end. So that's why I said the front end is what you can see as a user. The back end is what you cannot see. So the back end is for the developer or whoever is having access to it, maybe with username and password. All right. So that's that. Then at the end of everything, once you're done with the whole thing, you need to test. You need to be sure that the design is in line with the objective for that website. So it's important to test and debug. Debugging is all about error, looking for wherever you add error, correcting the error. So if there are errors in your code, you debug, you correct the errors and all of that, so that you can be sure that the website is ready for use. So next slide, please. So the next slide, we'll be talking about publishing your website. So once you're done with your website design, the next thing you want to do is to publish it. So I will start with the domain name. Most of us would have noticed that for so many websites, we see .com at the back, we see .org at the back. .edu, it doesn't matter, that's the domain name. Maybe, for example, solution.com, that's the domain name. So before you publish your website, you must look for a domain name. You ask your clients, okay, what name do you want to use for your website? And of course, you still need to check the availability of that name, because it's possible you choose a name and that name is not available online. Maybe someone else or another company is using that particular domain name. So you can change it and tweak and all of that. So domain name is very, very important. Now, beyond that, it is also important to note that if you finish designing your website, that website is on your system. Nobody is going to see that website until you publish it online. So the design is good. Of course, you're looking at it, you love it and all of that, but it's just on your system. People in Lagos will not see it. People in Australia will not see it. Those in US will not see it until you publish it. And that's the essence of web publishing. So web publishing is about publishing all your website file and other necessary file on the internet. If I design a website now, I'm going to have several files for the website. I will have a file or a folder, if you like, for, let's say, images. I will have a folder for the HTML. I will have a folder for my CSS. I will have a folder for JavaScript. So inside this folder, I can have as many files as possible. The home page design will be a file. The service page will be a file. Contact us page will be a file, and so on and so forth. So I have so many files to upload on the internet. So the process of publishing or uploading these files is what web publishing is all about. But before you can publish, you need a server to host your website files online. And that is the essence of the next slide now, which is web hosting. So next slide, please. So next slide, web hosting. So web hosting takes care of where your website files will be stored. I will illustrate this with a simple example. If you have a building, maybe a house now, on a particular plot of land, and you're trying to tell somebody that, I want you to come and visit me in my house. Now you give the person your address. That, okay, if you're coming to my place, this is the address. That address that you've given the person is your domain name. It's like a domain name. The building, that your apartment, is the web hosting. It's like the web hosting. The building rather is the website. The building, that apartment, is the website. And the plot of land on which you have that building is the web hosting. It's what web hosting is all about. And assuming somebody is bringing you, maybe you don't even know the house, and you have a taxi driver that, okay, I'm going to so place. I don't really know the place, but this is the address. And maybe when you give the address to the taxi driver is able to take you to where you are going. So that taxi driver is like your web browser. Without the web browser, even if you have the address, you're going nowhere. Are we together now? So The web browser is very, very important. That's where you drop the address. We call it URL. The address is like your URL. Now you drop the URL on the web browser, and the web browser takes you to the website. And that website is hosted on a particular server. So that's why I said the plot of land on which your building is like the web hosting, and your building is the website. All right. So with that illustration, I believe is somehow clear. So with web hosting, whoever is hosting your web, whatever, we have a lot of companies into web hosting. We have the Hostinga, we have so many of them. Hostinga is a popular one. So we have so many of them, and they have different plans. So you select the plan you want, and once you make your payments, then they will give you the hosting account. Once you have your hosting account, then you can publish your web pages or your website files on that account, so that everybody can see your website. All right, the next slide, please. So in conclusion, the next slide, please. In conclusion, I'll be talking about the future trends in web development and publishing. Now, interestingly, the next generation will not need to bother about HTML codes or CSS because it won't be necessary. The next trend we're facing now is how we design a website using artificial intelligence website builders, the AI website builders. There are so many of them too. I'll give you some examples along the line. So all you just need to do is to tell the AI that you want to build a website for a particular purpose. Don't forget the goal, purpose, objective of your website. So you just inform the AI, okay, I want to build a website for an eatery, and you give some maybe little details. And the AI on its own will generate content, will generate pictures, will generate everything, and before you know it, your complete website is ready. So that is the trend now. So in the next few years, nobody will really be talking about learning HTML code, learning CSS, learning JavaScript, or anything like that, because AI will do everything for you. And there are some popular AI sites now that are already doing that. You know, there are website builders, AI website builders already doing that. A good example is Mizo. Durable is also a very, very good one. There is a website called Durable, but I think the best of all of them is 10Web. 10 Web, 10Web. With 10Web, you can even clone another website. I can copy the URL of a website I'm interested in and drop that URL in 10Web, and 10Web will clone that website and give me a replica of that website. So all I just need to do is to just do some modifications so that it will fit into my own taste, and before you know it, I have a brand new website without any stress. All of this can happen within a few minutes, and before you know it, you have a big website ready. No matter how complicated the website is, you can get it done with AI web builders. So that's our discussion, my message, my presentation for today. I want to appreciate all of you for your time. Thank you so much for listening, and we can go into the question and answer section. Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doc. Yes, I think I have to bring Mr. Patrick on board. I see him clapping behind the stage.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Tunumibi. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
I must tell you, I can't but just keep clapping, you know, for this wonderful and in-depth presentation. I want to say to my colleagues, listen, when it comes to information business, there are levels of professionality. There are a lot of people out there that will give businesses to do things for you, and they just look for the shortcuts and get them done. Most of those shortcuts have their limitation. What we have listened to this evening is a core professional approach to getting a website, you know, developed. And for you as a librarian, he has given us things to look out for. It's like somebody who wants to have a haircut, and you just trust your barber to just cut something for you. If you don't have an idea of the kind of haircut you want to cut, you don't have an idea of what exactly you want to achieve, barber can just cut it and just tell you it's beautiful, and you agree that it is beautiful. I want to sincerely say a very big thank you to Dr. Tunumibi. Even at a very short notice, you're able to give such tremendous and in-depth presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know that what we have done this evening is to deliver into your hands keys, for effective website development. If I have allowed him to go into practical, I'm sure we will not live here today, and I'm sure that many of us will end up living here confused, because this practical is better done on site. It's better done on site, where you can follow step by step as he's doing them. So I want to encourage you, if you join me this evening to speak with Dr. Tunumibi, he will be with us in Abuja in October. And I can guarantee you that this thing we have heard will all practicalize it, and we will all leave that workshop, a web developer par excellence. And I can guarantee that if you follow through with what we have in mind for you, you will go home with either your own personal website or a website for your organization. So I want to say a very big thank you. I'm not supposed to give vote of thanks now. I'm going to leave the floor for the moderator, but I must tell you the truth. I'm indeed very happy. Even as someone who has been in this field for so many years, I have learned some new things again this evening. I can tell you, my mind is blown. I have just busted my brain tonight. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you. It's over to you, the moderator. I will speak later before we.
Now that the brain is busted, who will pack it? Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Chairman, for doing justice to that, because I was short of words to express what I had learned. Because Dr. Sunday, you just broke down what web development process looks like. Like, you just broke it down. So, and I want to just no further comments since the chairman has said all. I will just take questions. So I want to advise librarians that are here now. This opportunity that you have right before you is a rare one. So please ask questions. Because so I'm just going to start with a first question, Doc, while I'm waiting for other participants to ask question. Please, I would like to ask a question. For librarians, I know you made mention of something like that. Now, some librarians, in quote, permit me to say, they feel website is for techies. If you are not a tech person, web development is not for you. If you don't know programming, and once they hear about web development, the first thing that comes to their mind is, to be writing codes. And no, my brain cannot carry that. I know that was what web development is in the past. With AI tools nowadays, you can just give an instruction and a website can be built from scratch without you doing anything. So, yeah, Doc, I want you to please help to demystify the ideology, the perception that many people may have about web development. That's my own question while I'm waiting for other participants to ask their questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. Thank you so much, Chairman. Thank you so much. I appreciate both of you. With respect to that, it's a general issue we're having. Even here in the university, I've observed generally in most universities, the present generation is not really interested in coding. And it's not really their fault. It's because of the modern trend. When you have an easy way to do something, why would you want to make life difficult for yourself? So I think that is the major issue with the present generation. So if you tell them that, okay, for example, basic programming languages, as simple as SQL is, structured query language for database, some of them will run away from it. They will say, oh, anything language or anything code, I'm not interested. So to me, it's a matter of mindset. I've tried so hard to learn Hausa. Interestingly, up to now, I can't speak Hausa. I stayed in the north for a year, hoping that maybe after that 1 year, I'll be able to speak Hausa. But I'm still finding it difficult. You understand? So at times, it's just maybe our mind is not open enough to learn it. Maybe that is the reason. We might be interested, but maybe the mind is not open enough. So coding is like any other language. If you are not intentional about learning it, maybe I should use that word intentional, you will find it difficult to learn coding. So for the present generation, I would just keep advising them. There's no big deal about all these things. It's just your mindset. If you can just determine in your mind that you want to learn them, you will learn them. Of course, that does not take away the fact that we have easy way to achieve most of these things now, no doubt about it. Even so many people that are used to coding, they are gradually embracing CMS or the AI too, because with that you need to do less coding. But trust me, we can learn anything if we put our mind there. Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, thank you so much. So, Chairman is raising his hand up. So,
Yes.
Chairman, I can see your hand.
All right, thank you. I just want to add a comment to that. I will encourage every librarian, because as librarians, we are pre-information professionals. We are in the information industry. And survival in the industry or excelling in the industry requires us going beyond the surface, having an idea of what happens even at the root of our profession. I always give a scenario. I've told this story over and over again of a time when my wife and I wanted to go into selling hair, weave-on, woman hair, and all those stuff and all that. And we invested so much in doing that. We got a shop, imported Brazilian hair, imported different things into a place, and then got somebody to stay in there to, as a salesperson. Now, as at that time, we hadn't gone for any formal training on how to differentiate between all those hair, Brazilian hair, the normal woman hair, so many other things. We hadn't gone for training. Now, this person stayed in the place and maintained the shop properly and very well for us, until the day somebody bought an item there and then called us to say, why are we so wicked that we sold fake item to her, only for us to get to the shop and discover that, yes, the shop is still full, but the lady had sold all the real items that we bought and replaced them and bought other ones around that looks like them to replace in the same shop. Do you understand what I'm saying? And we are saying it, and we are happy that we have stocks there. Meanwhile, the real thing that we imported has been sold and has been replaced with a look-alike. So if as a librarian, you ask someone to do something for you in your library, and you don't have a ground knowledge of how that thing is, and how it operates, and how it's supposed to be, they will just do everything and hand over to you, and you'll be praising them, and they will eat your money and go. So even if you are using CMS, if you have an understanding of basic HTML, you can own your CMS site. So totally. All these free website things also have what they are selling. There's no free lunch anywhere in the world, not even in Freetown. Joomla or WordPress gives you that for free because they want to get something back from you. And so there's a limitation, even in your construction. Some of them have a lot of limitations, but your knowledge of CSS, your knowledge of HTML will allow you edit those areas of limitation and have a full ownership of your work. So it's
Exactly.
not out of place for us as librarians to at least have a knowledge of these things. You don't have to be an expert in it. You
Okay.
know what
Thank you
baffles
very
me?
much.
You know what baffles me most? I'm sorry. To use HTML, you don't need any software, any software. All you need is your
Of course.
normal notepad on your computer.
Notepad.
The ordinary notepad. That's to tell you how simple it is to write HTML codes. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Chairman. Thank you so much. So, very quickly, Dr. Sunday, I have about three questions here, but I'm just going to flash them, and then, but I want to make a quick announcement because our time is now up. So we're going to take the three questions very, very, very quickly. So, but before that, let me just make an announcement. First of all, this is one question from Yaya. We are going to take his question. Then there's another question from Ruby. Also, there is a final question from, I think that's all the questions, 2, 3 questions. So, but before that, permit me to just share with you make this announcement, and then we'll call it a day. We'll go back to the questions, and then we will round up for tonight. So right now, I think I am going to be answering this question. Somebody is saying, how can one participate in the physical workshop for website development coming up in October? My name is Matthew Agwu, college librarian at College of Health Technology, Benue State. So as you can see on the screen, all you need to do is register at bit.ly/capital LITT 2024, LEAD 2024. If you go to that URL on your browser, it takes you to the registration form. All you need to do is fill that form and make the payment. For those who are registered members of the NLAIT section, you get a discount, and then you pay just 35,000 naira. And then for those who are not members, you pay 40,000 naira, right? So that's how you participate in the workshop. So that's to answer that person's question. Then the next announcement we have here is the announcement of certificates. Certificates are now the link will be posted immediately after now. Immediately I finish this assignment, I'll post the link in the comment section. I also post it in our WhatsApp group, which is the virtual workshop series WhatsApp group. You have to fill that attendance. Filling that attendance gives you access to the slide of Dr. Tunumibi, and also it gives you a certificate of participation that you have attended a workshop on web development and publishing. So that certificate, as you can see, details is scrolling on the screen right now. And then the final announcement I'm making is Garden City. Everybody type Garden City in the comment section.
2024.
Okay, so I can't wait. I don't know how excited you are, but in less than 8 days from now, we are all you'll be seeing Mr. Patrick live, Dr. Sunday, myself. I'm going to be there live. There's a lot of things planned out there. I heard there's going to be free swimming, free volley and fish, a lot of things for free in the park, and then a lot of academic activities. So let us do well to, if you haven't registered, please register for that conference at www.nla.org.ng/conference to register. And then now, as we go back to the questions, what am I even saying? I'm not talking about this. Okay, I think, okay, this is all the announcements. So let's just take the questions. So the first question, Doc, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, okay. So the question here, somebody is asking, says, oh, sorry. Okay, where is that question? A lot of Garden City comments will not allow me zero the Garden City. Everybody is typing, even Dr. Suchu, even your chairman is here, Dr. Sophia there says Garden City. Everybody is in Garden City right now. But right now we are the virtual workshop series, and there's somebody that has a very important question here. Okay, pardon me, before I remove this screen, there's going to be an automation workshop.
Shout out to you, man. Shout out to Dr. Sophia. Shout out to you, man.
Yeah. Avi.
The question is on the screen, sir. Maybe just go ahead and respond. Okay. I think that's how
all right.
Problem.
Okay, thank you so much. So the question now, do we think? Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, all right. So the issue of policy, having a maybe policy with respect to content librarian, of course it can. That can help. You know, when I think the way librarianship is structured at the moment, we need to move away from traditional library setup. I keep saying that, you know, everything is changing. Of course, we all know that before now, you want to do cataloging, you want to do all of that, to do it traditionally. And now we have OPAC, we have a lot of softwares, in fact, integrated library management software that can help you with a lot of things. So we need to follow some of these trends, and we also need to adjust some of the policies too. So I really agree with this. You know, if you have a policy on content librarian, you know, of course, that can help. That can help so that at least people will learn more about data management generally, beyond the traditional approach, you know, especially now that we're moving into AI. So everybody can follow this new trend. And as our chairman rightly mentioned, even if you move into AI and you don't have the basic knowledge, when you have a serious issue, because this can happen with technology at any time, then you'll be able to navigate your way around it. Because technology is still technology, anyhow we look at it, and anything can go wrong at any time. But the basic knowledge can help you if you have such situation. So I think it's important we'll address some of the policy issues with respect to librarianship.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Yahya says he's a PhD candidate of Lead City. I think this is your colleague. Says, Dr. Tunumibi, your presentation was educational. Furthermore, at FUT MENA, we had issues with the information technology staff. That's IT. I prefer to call them IT staff. That information technology is not familiar at all. Right? And before reading this question, I already know what the problem is. He says we had issues with the IT staff because of uploading our library content on the school website. As we started using blogs, and some of us have started learning CMS like WordPress and Joomla. So, okay, he's kind of making a comment. So I believe most of us can relate to these things and what the chairman has said. Not until you learn these little nitty-gritties, those IT people, we keep using you to do bole and fish. Okay, so having said that, we've taken this question by this person, and then the other person says here, what are the AI tools used for developing websites? Please say it clearly. Let's start practicing. This person is harsh.
Okay, no, that's nice. When it comes to the tools necessary for developing websites, I won't start with the AI tools. I want to go with the position of the chairman first, because this person is requesting for the AI tools. I will prefer that we learn the traditional tools first. Let's learn HTML, let's learn CSS. Now, if you are not interested in scripting languages, maybe you can leave JavaScript alone for now. But if you can master HTML and CSS, it will go a long way in helping us, you know, in building a website. Now, of course, once you have that basic knowledge, then we can now start talking about these AI tools. I know the person wants me to go over the AI tools again, so I'll quickly list them. But please don't forget, the basic knowledge is important. So for the AI tools, I mentioned that we have Durable. Durable is a very, very good one. In fact, a very, very nice AI tool. We have 10 Web. I think 10 Web for me is the best. Yeah, because with 10 Web, you have WordPress as part of 10 Web. You know, the way 10 Web is designed, WordPress is integrated into it. So 10 Web allows for a lot of customization. You don't get to do that customization with Durable or with Mizo. So for me, 10 Web, as I repeat, 10 Web, WEB. For me, that's about the best AI tool for website development. So if you can learn 10 Web, I think that is good. But please learn the traditional approach to learn the basics of HTML and CSS.
Exactly. Thank you so much, sir. I think for those who may want to add, Wix, I think Wix also has an AI embedded to Wix platform. Also, with Wix platform, you could just create a website from scratch. So these questions have been very well answered. This person says the question was from Iya and Omolala Mina. You can scroll up, sir. I think we have now taken all the questions, but there's one more from Obiora. There's one more question from Obiora. But before that, I'll make a final announcement. And the announcement is this. If you are watching us on Facebook, we recognize you. We're giving you a special shout out. For instance, Madam Boku is on our NLAIT Facebook page. What we want to appeal is click on the follow button, like the page, so that you can get up to date on what is going on the NLAIT section. Like this video, share this video, follow the page, and that's how we grow, right? Also, if you are watching on YouTube, just click on subscribe. It will not take an extra data from you, all right? So click on subscribe or click on the like button, and that will help us to grow. The question says, how do we register for attendance? The attendance form will be posted in the WhatsApp group, or it will be posted immediately. Oga is answering the next question. The last question says, at my age, I can't start learning HTML because of codes. The easiest way is always the best, in my opinion. Oga, what do you have to say? Oh my goodness. This is another question. It says, what is the estimated cost of AI cloning apps? So all these are questions. The best response I would give is let us see at Abuja in October. You have time for that. Then lastly, before the network interfered, I was just about answering somebody's question that was talking about Koha and all that. Want to learn Koha? We are having the chairman IT section. He's going to be one of the facilitators at this masterclass. So consider registering for this exclusive masterclass. It's a 3-day masterclass to teach librarians all about library automation, and we are having only 50 participants. So secure your spot before the time is over. So once again, I want to say thank you to everyone for participating, and give a very special vote of thanks to Chairman. Maybe you should do the vote of thanks officially this time as we go in 1 minute.
All right, I don't know how to talk. I don't know how to talk small. I like talking.
And I make me give you time.
So in 1 minute, I want to say thank you very much, sir. Thank you for being such a wonderful resource person, and we hope to see more of you. We hope to work together with you on this platform, and we trust that what we have learned today, we'll have the opportunity to get better at it when we meet you physically. Thank you for your time. The NLA IT section, we appreciate you so much. Thank you. Let me also say thank you to Dr. Sophia.
Thank you.
I appreciate you greatly. I appreciate you so greatly. Thank you very much, and God bless you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Doc, do you have any feedback or any comments?
Thank you, moderator. Thank you, our chairman, and thank you, my chairman, Dr. Sophia. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I think now.
Please let me thank participants. Participants, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
for those that will still be online, I'm going to be featuring their comments.
Right.
That we appreciate them. I see Dr. Wong video there.
It's time to show the beautiful people how we get
Thank you.
down. Ijoya, 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 our man Ijoya, 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 our land Ejo. One bit of better lonely Joe, one two bit of better lonely flow. They shola lonely Joe.
Garden, see you next week. See all your comments. Very.
Dr. Bakare, I can write you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Ada is here.
Hey, Ada Weze. I thank you so much, Ada. Thank you.
Just posted the attendance, please. I just posted the attendance form. I just say stand up and do justice. Chairman, can you see your team member? Can you see your team member? All right, good night. Take care, everyone, and see you on our WhatsApp group. Good night, sir.